Hi.
Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are brand new here, my name is Nikki and this is my book nook. Y'all, today we are talking about Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. I don't know who suddenly spread the word or opened the gates on this book, but I swear to you, it has been the only thing on my Bookstagram feed for the last 3 weeks. Everybody and their mother is reading this book, and I've had a book by Lucy Score on my shelf for quite a while now, but it wasn't this one. So I had heard of the author and I was like, okay, I just need to check this out. Everybody is talking about it, so it has to be good. And I originally read it on my Kindle. I started reading it on my Kindle because it was on Kindle Unlimited, which we love. And clearly you can see here, I ended up buying the physical copy. So obviously I enjoyed it. I have a lot of things to say about it, so let's just get into it. So this story follows a girl named Naomi Witt, which, funny enough, my name is Nikki Witt, spelled exactly the same way, like W-I-T-T. So many of y'all were recommending me to read this book, yet you weren't gonna tell me the main character practically had my name. It was just kind of weird. I don't know, never seen that before in a book. But anyways, Naomi, pretty much when we start this story, we are just thrown right into it. There's really no introduction. We pretty much hit the ground running. We basically learn that Naomi has just run away from her wedding ceremony, literally out of the chapel, because clearly she was having some cold feet about it in the first place, but what really was the final straw and helped her to make her decision was that her twin sister, Tina, basically contacted her and let her know that she was in trouble and she needed help. So she tells Naomi to come and meet her at this little cafe in this super small town that she lives in called Knock 'em Out, knock them out, literally. So Naomi shows up there and very quickly she gets a not very warm welcome from pretty much everyone in the cafe. They are twin sisters, identical twin sisters, and everybody obviously thinks that Naomi is Tina, and clearly Tina does not have a good reputation in this town. We pretty much learn very quickly that Tina is just crazy. She's got all sorts of issues. Her and Naomi couldn't be more opposite from one another. Tina has just always been a bad kid, a rebel, but now to the point that she's just a criminal, essentially, just screws everybody over, is always just behind on her bills, after money, just not a good person at all. So no one in this town likes her, and Naomi shows up believing that she's there to help her, but she instantly runs into this guy named Knox, and Knox also thinks she is Tina, immediately is like, get out of this cafe, how dare you show your face in here. They have this whole horrible introduction with one another, but then once she finally gets through to him, shows people her ID, people are like, oh my god, no shit, Tina really does have an identical twin. And Naomi goes back out to her car and finds that her car is gone. Basically, it was a scam. Tina scammed her into coming here, telling her she needed help so she could steal her car and steal everything in it. And now, literally within the first 15 pages of the story, Naomi's entire life gets turned upside down. She literally believed she was about to get married, but now she is in this small town, doesn't have a car, has no money, has no purse. Her twin sister has abandoned her here. And on top of that, we find she didn't just abandon her. Tina, in fact, has a daughter that Naomi never knew existed. She has this 11-year-old niece that she has also left behind. So now Naomi is stuck here with a child and a niece. She didn't know she had nothing else to her name, and she's basically screwed. And any other person might take a second and be like, look, I didn't ask for any of this, this isn't my problem, but Naomi is the type of person that she puts everyone else in the world before herself. She really just doesn't leave anything else left for herself because she's so busy worrying about everyone else. So obviously when this problem presents itself to her, she's not gonna leave her niece behind. So she's like, I'm gonna figure this out. You know, she's been in this stable relationship for several years, and now she's suddenly a single mom in a matter of an hour. Her whole life is turned upside down. So even though her and Knox do not have a good initial meeting, don't have a good initial first day that they're around each other, Knox, you know, isn't completely heartless and is like, I do feel the need to help this girl out. He does know of the niece and has seen her around town and knows that, you know, Tina has obviously not been a good mom to her, so he does have a soft spot for the fact that, you know, she's been left behind. And so he does begrudgingly kind of help Naomi out here and there, sort of ends up getting her a job, might turn into a boss employee, forced proximity situation that you guys know I love. Major kind of grumpy sunshine elements to this story. Honestly, it's kind of grumpy at times. She's not completely sunshine. I think she tries to be, but the second that Knox is grumpy to her, she knows how to throw it right back to him. It's funny, this story going into it, it's a thick book, by the way. It took quite a while to read. I was kind of reading it in the first half. I kept telling myself, I was like, I don't know how I feel about it. Like, I'm just not sure, because there's really not much of a plot to this story. Like, you're quite literally just thrown into it and things just start happening. Like, again, like I said, there's really no introductions. Like, you're just here and you're living it, and it's just, I don't know, like, you're trying to figure out the whole time, you're like, what is really the point to this story? But I kept focusing on that, but then after a while, it kind of hit me. I'm like, dude, like, you're living this story in the same way that Naomi is living it. Like, this is what happened to her. There was no introduction. She just went to this cafe to see her sister, but instead her entire life was just thrown off track. And I think a message of it as well is Naomi has always been a person that is very much a planner, and she keeps lists, and she had a plan for her life, and that plan for her life included like getting married at this certain time. You know, in this story, something to mention is she is in her mid-30s and Knox is like 40, which typically, you know, I'm a girl in my young 20s. I don't normally reach for books that are focused on like people in their 30s/40s, but it was an interesting read and it didn't end up bothering me. It's funny, the things that you like would never normally pick up. I also would never pick up a book that has a single parent trope in it. It's just not for me. I don't care to read about kids. Like, it's not my thing. But because this book was so talked about, I didn't look into it whatsoever. I literally just started reading it. Like, didn't even read the synopsis, didn't read the back. So I didn't know what to expect. And it is funny because if I would have known it was about like a 36 or 7-year-old woman and it did have a single parent trope, never would have read it. So I'm glad that I did read it because we really got to go on this journey with Naomi together. I feel like I kind of went off the rails there for a second, but as I was saying, she's been a person that's always been a planner and had every step of her life planned out, but now she doesn't have control over that anymore, and for the first time she's truly having to live like day by day and figure it out. So I feel like that's what we were doing. Like, we were doing that alongside with her, because in real life there obviously is no plot. Like, we're just here figuring it out and taking things day by day. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot to Naomi, there's a lot to her family, there's a lot to Knox and his family. This is a really small town. We get to see Knox has a brother named Nash. He's like the sheriff of this town. This is really just a town where everybody knows everyone, and it was really cute to see all the different characters come together. Very much kind of like a found family trope in this story for sure. I can tell a world is being built. Like, I could pick up hints about halfway through. I'm like, I feel like there's gonna be more to this town and this world. I feel like she's gonna write more books in it, and then by the time you got to the end, it was revealed. We don't know what the next book is about, but she did say, this isn't all for Knock 'em Out, like book 2 of this world or whatever is coming soon. So all of this to say, I did really like it. I think there were aspects of it that were a little bit like, I don't know, like Tina, the twin sister situation, I hated her, but like, we're supposed to hate her. There were parts of this towards the end that, like, things that were happening that I just didn't, I knew something had to happen, but I didn't quite expect it to be that. But it was still good. Very spicy, lots of angst, lots of tension. It was just really good. I don't know how else to explain it other than it felt like a comfy read. You know, those books that just the very first time you read it, you just kind of like settle into it and it's just kind of cozy, and you just feel like, I really felt like I could insert myself into this story, into this town. It just felt homey. And there were lots of really cute moments, even though I'm not a fan of like the single parent trope. I don't really care for kids in books. There were a lot of cute moments like with the kid and getting to see, obviously she's been like this hardened child because she has like a terrible mother and hasn't been raised very well, and seeing her learn what it's like for someone to actually like care about her, and just lots of sweet like moments like that were really cute. And then just, you know, I always love to see a broken boy, a broken man in stories. I know it's done time and time again, but seeing a guy that just thinks he's like not good enough for anyone and doesn't want to commit because he's, you know, you think he's a jerk and he's an asshole and he's just a player, but always deeper down there's like a greater reason and greater issue as to why he isn't willing to commit to someone and why he doesn't feel he deserves to commit to someone. Like, we get to see all those types of things. It was just good. It was just really good. I know the books aren't even remotely similar, but I just kind of felt almost the same way about this book as I did The Wall of Winnipeg and Me by Mariana Zapata. I like that book way more. Like, that book for me is God tier, but when I say it just felt like an instant comfort read, even though it was the first time I'd ever read it, like, I got those same kind of feelings when I read that book. Random little anecdote there, but yeah, I would love to know what you guys think. I would probably give it maybe 4.5 stars, maybe 4.25. Like, it's not one of my new favorite books of all time, but very comfy, very cozy, very spicy, lots of little moments that kept me interested. It was funny because I didn't like fly through this book. I definitely read it over a period of like 2 weeks because I was reading it on my Kindle, so I would just read it like at night and like in between books. It was kind of my between book. So I don't know, maybe if I would have like flown through it and forced myself to read the whole thing. I did read the last 200 pages all last night because it got to a point where I just had to know what was gonna happen. But yeah, if I had anything to say, I feel like it could have probably been 100 pages shorter. Like, there were definitely like a lot of scenes and chapters in this where I was like, we could probably trim this down a little bit. But yeah, that's just me trying to find something negative. I don't know, I would love to hear y'all's thoughts. If you've read this book, if you've read any other books by Lucy Score that you liked, of course, let me know. I currently have By a Thread on my shelf because I heard that was a boss employee, enemies to lovers, workplace, romance sort of situation. Very excited for that. But yeah, that is it for me today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye.